To me, the White Birch dial on the Grand Seiko SLGH005 is simply stunning, so when offered the chance, I had to go hands-on. Hi everyone, I'm Craig from Wrist Enthusiast, and today I'm looking at the Grand Seiko SLGH005 White Birch. But before I get into it, if you've been enjoying my content, make sure to like this video and hit the subscribe button. Let's get started. I've been an admirer of Grand Seiko for a while now, but over the years, I've actually had limited hands-on with actual pieces. Yes, I've seen pieces on the wrist of friends and collectors when I would stop by the Grand Seiko store or at Watches and Wonders, but my actual exposure was fairly limited. So when the Grand Seiko team reached out to me and asked me if I'd be interested in doing a review, I immediately knew which piece I wanted to go hands-on with. When I think of Grand Seiko, I think of their dials. And to me, the most interesting dial is the White Birch dial of the reference SLGH005. To me, the White Birch represents the best Grand Seiko has to offer. And on top of that, it's sized perfectly to double as a dress watch or an everyday wear. Before getting into the dial, let's talk about the White Birch's case. Getting the specs out of the way, the SLGH005's case is 40mm in diameter and 47.5mm lug to lug. The watch is also fairly slim at 11.9mm thick. Although not ultra thin by any means, the overall dimensions make the watch wear a little bit smaller than its 40mm case size would suggest. Over my years in the industry, I have come to the conclusion that lug-to-lug measurements are more important than a watch's diameter in determining whether a watch will fit your wrist. Although obviously nothing really beats getting that watch on your wrist. But because of the shorter lug-to-lug length on the White Birch, along with the case that curves with the wrist, it not only wears smaller, but feels slimmer than 11.9mm. On my 6.75-inch wrist, the SLGH005 definitely has presence, but it fits nicely, and my wrist is fairly flat for those wondering. Getting into the case detailing, it's as high quality as you'd come to expect from Grand Seiko. The case has a combination of Zaratsu polishing and brush surfaces that come together beautifully. For example, the top portion of the bezel is brushed, surrounded by a polished slope portion. Likewise, the lugs are brushed on top, with chamfered polished edges on the inside, outside, and top. The screw-down crown is adorned with Grand Seiko's logo and polished as well. These little details take the White Birch from an everyday sports watch to something that can easily be worn on the fanciest of occasions, though perhaps on a leather strap. Unlike the case, the bracelet actually has very little polishing. The whole top side of the 3-link bracelet is brushed, with the inner link having an etched line on either side near the outside. The sides on the outer links on the bracelet are actually the only polished areas. This actually stands in contrast to the sides of the case, which are brushed. The brushed bracelet definitely gives the White Birch a little bit more of a casual look and feel, but if you swapped it out for a black leather strap, you could definitely dress up the watch. The bracelet starts at 22mm in diameter at the lugs and tapers to 20mm at the clasp. I would have actually preferred a couple more millimeters of taper. I always prefer a 4mm taper to 2mm. But the bracelet doesn't look bad and is very comfortable on the wrist. For those asking, there's no micro adjustment and the bracelet is sized through a screw system, which is what I prefer. The buckle is adorned with Grand Seiko's GS logo, and I like it for its simplicity and unobtrusiveness. The most spectacular portion of the White Birch is obviously the White Birch dial. The silver dial may not be exactly white, but it's close enough that it doesn't bother me. And the dial does truly look like the bark pattern on a white birch tree. The different depths of the shimmering dial give it the random feel of nature without the dial actually being unique from other White Birch pieces. There's just so much detail in the dial, it's hard to take your eye off of it when it's on your wrist. And with metallic hands and indexes, the dial texture remains the focal point of the overall dial. I do, however, like the dark blue second hand. Even with the incredibly intricate White Birch dial, the watch feels a little bit restrained, and the blue dial adds just a little bit of added character that I appreciate. The Grand Seiko SLGH005 White Birch runs on the caliber 9SA5 in-house movement. The movement features a dual impulse, which allows the watch's escapement to be more efficient and ultimately gives the watch a longer power reserve, 80 hours to be exact. And the movement is high beat. It beats at 36,000 VPH. A high beat movement means that the tick will be smoother and the watch will be more accurate, but there are downsides as well. High beat movements tend to need servicing more often and can be more expensive to service. The 9SA5 is accurate between +5 and -3 seconds per day on average. This is actually more accurate than cost specification, which is +6 and -4 seconds per day on average. But the movement as seen through a display case back is truly stunning. The rotor is open worked in the middle, perhaps so it won't obstruct the movement. The movement has Côte de Genève finishing as well as perlage on the main plate. It's truly on par with what I've seen with similarly and probably more expensive watches coming out of Switzerland. Overall, I really like the Grand Seiko SLGH005 White Birch, and any complaints I may have are minor and wouldn't prevent me from purchasing it. As I said, I feel like the watch just molds to the wrist. When you're holding the case, it doesn't feel all that slim. It is 11.9 millimeters thick, but the way Grand Seiko curved the case when you're wearing it, it feels like a watch that is 11 millimeters or thinner. Collectors new to Grand Seiko are often skeptical of a Japanese watch with Seiko in its name selling watches for above $5,000. And at $9,100, the SLGH005 White Birch is not inexpensive, but the quality of finishing, the dial, and the reliability of the movement put the White Birch on level footing with Swiss-made watches in the same price point, and probably beyond. Once you get over the fact that the watch is not Swiss-made, you don't have to worry about getting a quality watch. Indeed, I would probably choose the SLGH005 over a Rolex Datejust or Oyster Perpetual, but that is clearly my personal preference. So if you're looking for an everyday watch that you can dress up when needed, you can't go wrong with the Grand Seiko SLGH005 White Birch. Hopefully, I'll be adding one to my collection in the near future. So that's my review of the Grand Seiko SLGH005 White Birch. What do you think of the watch? How do you rank Grand Seiko compared to its Swiss counterparts? Let me know in the comments. And remember, if you've been enjoying my content, please make sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel. I'll see you next time.